So this is the garden project so far, and I am here to tell you about some of the plants that we've planted. We've got, so far, tomatoes, squashes, both summer and winter. We've got peas, beans, eggplant, cantaloupe, cucumbers, 3 different varieties of cucumbers. As far as the tomatoes, we have probably over 20 different varieties. And right now in the ground we have about 70 plants. And we probably have about 12 different varieties of peppers, including bell peppers, so not just hot peppers. And not too many different varieties of beans or peas, but we have winter squash and summer squash. So as you can tell, some things are growing more vigorously than others, and that could be for a variety of reasons. This isn't the right season yet, or climate, and others it could be a water issue with our drip irrigation that we have. So the other night I was out here cleaning out some of the dripper heads because they get a little clogged with dirt, and then you have one plant that's not getting any water or just drips and the one next to it's streaming. So we will see if that's part of the reason. We come and give them nutrients about once a week or every 10 days, and they do get watered daily, obviously, with regular water, but we add nutrients to water and apply it directly to each plant. So some of the crops, like the middle row there with the trestle and the rope, are placed that way so they can grow up and not out, because a lot of plants that grow out will also just grow up if you train them. And so we did that with our cucumbers, and we gave our squash enough room that we didn't need to do that. But if we do need to, we can implement something later down the road. And then we recently put just regular tomato cages around each tomato. We had initially talked about doing some kind of trellising from a top post, and then you run a string down, but that might come later. And this is the first year, so we don't, we're learning and we're kind of figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and it's all trial and error, but we have some success and we have some fruit already. There's a lot of tomatoes on the plants, maybe about 40% of them have fruit on them, but they're not quite ripe. We do have some peppers that are ripening, and I have harvested a few cucumbers.
That's what she said!
Tonight or tomorrow, our very first squash, and that is an early season squash, so that might be why it's the first one that's ready. We've got a wood chip mulch here, pretty big pieces. However, this was free, and so that was a big plus because of the square footage and the whole big area that we're trying to garden here. And we had dirt trucked in that put probably 4 to 6 inches of topsoil pre-mixed with different amendments in it, and then that was, if I remember correctly, tilled into the existing soil once the land was clear of the existing grasses and the weeds. But then we scraped out a row, moved the mulch aside, and planted, and we've got basically what we sort of aimed for was 2 foot of plant width row, 3 feet of walking path, and then it just continues on, which would give us 10 to 12 rows in this whole 60 by 60 square that we have. And then of course later we'll be doing some raised beds. So some of the crops that we wanted to grow we don't have in yet, or we may not be able to do this year. Corn, onion. We do have some other crops not here in the garden but in another area of the property that are in pots, and so we're tending to those, and we have some lettuces and beets, strawberries, blueberries, and those plants are just establishing, so they may not do a whole lot, but you got to start somewhere. So this is what we have, and most of these are annual plants, so they won't last more than a year. In fact, I think all of them technically are annuals, but we are going to be able to harvest the seeds, and then we'll be able to replant from that. And that's about it.